Japan in the late 90s and early 2000s released some of the world's most wanted enthusiast cars, and it may have taken a couple of decades, but they are finally becoming cult classics that all enthusiasts want to get their hands on. But there are still some major names out there who have kind of slid under the radar. Hello everybody, my name is Mark Roden, and this is the deep dive on the Lexus IS300. In the 90s, Japanese car manufacturers were kind of smiling from ear to ear, and that's because the Japanese economy was doing fantastic, and they managed to get their foot in the door with the American market. Sure, there were some ups and downs, the main one being the number of cars that they were allowed to import per year to America, but this proved to work in their favor actually, because it gave them a reason to start a whole new brand to be sold to us Americans. Nissan would do it with Infiniti, and well, kind of failed. Honda would do it with Acura and well, kind of succeeded. And most important of all was Toyota doing it with the wonderful Lexus.
After years of intense work, Lexus is ready to celebrate. Because even at the equivalent of 145 miles per hour, the Lexus LS400 is designed to stir the soul.
The Lexus LS400 rolled onto the showroom floors in the early 1990s and was an absolute slap-dabberoo of a hit in Americas. People loved that they could buy a car that was better than the German powerhouses of the time, but not have to sell their kid to Chuck E. Cheese to pay for it. So naturally, sales were great. They sold so many damn LS400s, and that really proved to Toyota that they made a very smart move. So just 2 years after the launch of the LS400, they launched the SC300 and SC400. Once again, this car was marketed as a luxury vehicle to us Americans, but it was built using Toyota parts. That way, Lexus could sell them for a little bit more money to make up for the import costs, but while still being significantly cheaper than the German rivals. That's smart. This car was so much cheaper than the German rivals actually that both BMW and Mercedes tried to sue Lexus for quote-unquote lying on their profit numbers, because they just couldn't believe that a Japanese car brand made a car that was better than theirs and they could sell it for less than theirs. But Lexus obviously won that case. Take that, Germany. Following the success of the Lexus SC and the Lexus LS, they made two more cars that did pretty well, the Lexus GS300 and GS400, and the Lexus LX, which was an SUV. But then, in 1998, they made a car that still to this day is an amazing choice for somebody looking for a German luxury but Japanese reliability.
Lexus IS300 E-Shift or 5-speed.
The Lexus IS300 was much different from any Lexus seen before. It was way cheaper than the SC, but it was much more sporty than both the GS and the LS. On top of that, it was significantly smaller than most Lexus models to date, and people were loving it. Lexus had already brought a good fight to the German luxury sedans with their previous cars, and the German car companies were starting to feel the wrath of Toyota, so they decided they should probably start making more affordable sedans, but with a little bit of a watered down interior to try and come back, which was the start of the BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4. But then, Lexus caught on to what they were doing, and just like a high school bully, they did not let that slide. The Lexus IS300 was a direct competitor to the German sports sedans, and well, it once again did pretty damn good, selling over 30,000 models the first year and maintaining around the same number up until 2005 when the next generation of the IS would come out. That's a lot of freaking models, people, so when somebody on Facebook Marketplace tells you that you're not going to find another one for that money, tell him he's wrong.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ram.
Now, I want to make it very clear, this car did not outsell the German competition. The Audi A4 and the BMW 3 Series went on to become some of the best-selling cars of all time, period. And what they did is truly amazing, but Lexus definitely made them rethink a couple of things. They kept them on their feet, and I think that's amazing. Car rivalries like the WRX versus the Evo or the Camaro versus the Mustang are essential to building the next best sports car, because it urges these companies to keep pushing forward and one-upping the competition, since they know that if they don't, they'll get left in the dust. But now let's talk about the IS300 itself and why I think this is truly one of the best first cars for a car guy in the market today. It is just quite literally everything you could ask for as a new car guy. They have a very nice engine sitting under the hood, a 3-liter inline 6 that makes 225 horsepower going straight to the rear wheels, which is perfect because it's not too much horsepower, so you're not going to murder a bunch of crowds like some other car that we all know, but it's also not going to be slow either, and you most likely won't get bored of it as a high schooler, especially since it's rear wheel drive as well. Even if you do get bored of it and you want more power, well, I have good news for you. The engine sitting under the hood is a naturally aspirated version of the legendary 2JZ GTE, which is found in the Mark IV Supras that are notorious for being able to handle 1000 horsepower with stock internals. And yes, the 2JZ GE that's in the IS300 cannot handle that much power stock, but it still can handle a very impressive amount at right around the 600 horsepower mark if you have a healthy motor and you're smart with your mods, which might sound a little bit scary to you because this thing needs to be reliable since it's going to be your first car. But don't worry, it is. After all, this is a Toyota motor, and Toyota is known for their incredible reliability, which is why you will see plenty of these IS300s for sale on Marketplace with well over 250,000 miles and still running strong. They just can't die. Everything about this car just screams perfect first car. We already went over the power and platform that it has under the hood, but the suspension and the braking system is perfect for a new driver as well. It is stiff enough to take corners nicely, but soft enough to not ruin the driving experience. And once again, if you want the suspension to be much more stiff, there are plenty of aftermarket suspension upgrades for this car that will help you with that. And you want to know the best part? They're freaking cheap. As a matter of fact, everything you can buy for this car is cheap. The car itself sits right underneath the $5,000 mark all day, every day with around 150,000 miles, which remember, is not bad for an inline Toyota. And then when it comes to mods, you're not going to find anything much cheaper besides maybe a Honda. But all of that can be thrown out of the window if the car itself is not very forgiving to work on. But don't worry, it gets an A+ there too. It is just so simple and bare bones to work on an IS300 that even as somebody with zero experience, you can pick up a wrench and just start learning, which is perfect for a new driver. Plus, the looks. The car looks elegant yet aggressive. It looks like it will take you to church and nobody's gonna bat an eye, but then immediately go to the twisty canyons and race around with some kid in his daddy's BMW. There's quite literally only one downside to the IS300 that I can think of, and that is the space. But don't worry, Lexus thought of that too. The IS300 Sport Cross was a wagon version of the already very popular and damn near perfect IS300, and it did everything the IS300 did, except now you had more space. What else could you want? There was now an option for quite literally everyone. You want a cheap daily that isn't a boring Camry? Get an IS300 sedan. You want the same thing, but now you need more space? Get the Sport Cross. It was a win-win. Lexus saw what the German motors were doing and quite literally went out and did it better, which is part of the reason why this car is still such a popular option among enthusiasts today. And even though everyone and their mother wants one, they're still selling for very cheap because there's just so damn many of them out there. I think as a high school car guy, life can be pretty difficult between trying to explain to your parents why you can't drive their hand-me-down Camry and finding something that you want to drive and enjoy while on such a strict budget. It can seem threatening. Also, cars are expensive, and even as an adult, they take up most of my paychecks. So when you see all your favorite sports cars selling around the $10,000 mark as a high schooler, you may think all hope is lost. But that, my friends, is precisely the magic of Lexus. You don't have to have an 800 credit score to experience the best driving experience the world has to offer. You just have to be able to deal with the Neanderthals who use Facebook Marketplace and have $5,000 in your bank account. And if you can, then you can get one of the world's most amazing platforms out there. Gentlemen, that is the end of today's deep dive technically on the IS300. I wanted to make a video on the IS whole line, like the IS300, the IS250, and then the next generation of the IS250 as well, but then I was like, wait a minute, I really just want to talk about the IS300 because I love it so much. So I'm going to do this one, and then I'll do the two next generations in a complete separate video, because I think they deserve their own video anyway as well. The whole Lexus IS line is just full of cool cars, so I didn't want to make it would have been so long if I did all 3 generations in one video. So I did one specifically on the first generation of the Lexus IS, which is the one that we all, all of us want. And then I'll do another one though sometime down the line on the IS250/IS350, so that you guys that own those cars can get happy about that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't worry, the Integra build is coming along. I'm waiting on parts right now, and also waiting on a couple sponsorship opportunities, which is pretty cool. So we're waiting on that stuff, and we'll go from there. But thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.